The teams are now coming out, and they're in Northern Ireland. I think Ian Stewart is a fellow also that we need to be aware of, who played very well for Northern Ireland up at Hampden Park against Scotland.
Tonight, Stewart against Neil is going to be a terrific little confrontation, Brian, because Neil doesn't like wingers taking the ball at him. You know, he always appears uncomfortable. And Stewart the other night turned the Scotland full-back inside out, and I think he may at least try and attempt to do the same thing with Phil Neal tonight.
Of course, the Irish without Norman Whiteside.
That's a blow for them, obviously. And actually, the other night, you know, Gerry Armstrong played wide on the right. It'll be interesting to see if he plays the same way. And Hamilton played up the front with Jerry Mullen, who's an Irish league player. So possibly they lack a little bit of impact up the front.
Yeah, I'm a great fan of Gerry Armstrong's, and I think he could be the danger man for England tonight.
Once he gets on those runs, he takes an awful lot of
That's
stopping.
right, and I think also he hasn't played many games this season. He's going to be very, very fresh, and he's going to want to prove himself tonight.
What about the atmosphere there in Windsor Park? You played the last time England played there, Tony, very briefly.
That's right, yeah. I think it's an occasion for the Irish. It's a little bit like a cup final. It's something special. It's going to be very, very difficult for England. I just hope they can get an early goal.
Right, Martin Tyler's our commentator. It looks as though they're just about ready for the national anthem.
Thank you, Brian. We're just waiting for the national anthem. England flew in early this afternoon and took a light meal at a hotel out near the airport. And here indeed is the national anthem. For those who think the British Championship is an outdated institution should be here tonight, a crowd estimated by officials to be approaching 30,000, attracted by England's first visit to Windsor Park since October 1979. This is the Northern Ireland side. They've lost John O'Neill from the centre of their defence, but Chris Nicholl, a vastly experienced deputy. Disappointment here that Norman Whiteside dropped out of the reckoning yesterday, so Jerry Mullen, the part-timer from Glentoran, keeps his place in attack. Tottenham's Graham Roberts becomes the 29th player used by Bobby Robson. In this only his 8th game as England manager. Roberts in for the injured Alvin Martin. But the only other change from the side which beat Hungary last month is that recall of Glenn Hoddle with Sammy Lee standing down. The closest Graham Roberts has been to international football in the past was 10 years ago when he was a ball boy at Wembley. Glenn Hoddle, of course, has seen it all before, but still searching for that regular England berth for the talent that is undeniable. Pat Jennings facing England for the 18th time tonight, his 98th cap in all. And Pat's opposite number, Peter Shilton, is the England captain, taking that responsibility for the 5th time, and he's got an undefeated record as captain. The Northern Ireland captain, the familiar figure of Martin O'Neill. Visiting the Irish camp yesterday, there's a real feeling there that they can beat England. As Brian was saying earlier, 56 years since their last win over England in Belfast. 11 years ago, they did win at Wembley with a goal from Terry Neal that was put past Peter Shilton, in fact. Time for a word before the kick-off from a very happy man alongside me, the manager of the FA Cup winners, Manchester United, Ron Atkinson.
I'll be very interested to see how the England forwards line up with 3 central strikers. I'm just wondering who's going to make the width, whether that's going to come from people like Hoddle, Sansom making breaks from the back, or indeed Gordon Cowans having to make up for into the front line. Certainly it worked against Hungary, but it would interest me an awful lot how they're going to operate with the three central strikers.
Referee is Howard King from Merthyr Tydfil in Wales. The England players were impressed with the pitch when they walked out here some 45 minutes ago. Well grassed and a good atmosphere as well. England attacked the goal to the right in the first half. Northern Ireland, of course, in their usual shirts of green. And Chris Nicholl sharply into the back of Peter With. Starting an international for the first time since the World Cup, Chris Nicholl. But he came on as substitute for John O'Neill at Hampden on Tuesday. And Glenn Hoddle, of course, adds variety to England's free kicks. And starts by throwing a dummy. And it's Cowans who eventually plays it in, and Jennings can watch it pass over. (1964) when Pat Jennings began his international career. Jerry Armstrong, who will operate on the right for Northern Ireland. Tidied up for England by Phil Neal as Billy Hamilton chased in. Formidable opponents now. Billy Bingham's side was well illustrated in the World Cup, and also last Tuesday when Northern Ireland held Scotland at Hampden Park. With Scotland having won in Wales this afternoon, that's really added to the importance of this game for both sides. Chris Nicholl with a free kick, and it's Armstrong who climbs. A header then by Mabbott for England. Jimmy Nicholl, who dashed back from Canada, where he's playing for Toronto Blizzards for the Home International Championships. Too far for With, booted forward by Chris Nicholl.
Martin, it looks as if Bliss is going to be asked to play slightly deeper than Francis and With and join up on the long balls. Anything knocked through, I think he's going to have to make long runs from the middle of the field.
That was certainly the way they started against Hungary in the last game, but he's the furthest forward here, Luther Blissett. And takes on Donaghy, who made more contact with Blissett than he did with the ball. McElroy cut out the cross and looks to get Northern Ireland forward. And left Hoddle. McElroy, and it's Jerry Mullen who's offside. Mabbott anchoring the England midfield. Neal with just a little too strong with the first touch. Hamilton better with his, and McElroy was balked by Roberts, and a good advantage played as Ian Stewart goes clear. Hamilton's header looking for Mullen. England in the end got their numbers back.
That really was a terrific decision by the referee to wave play on there. And looking at the lineups already, it seems as if we're very much congested in the middle of the park, England. And it looks as if the Irish, if they decided to push attacks down the left-hand side, they could find themselves getting 2 and 3 on 1 on Philip Neal.
Blissett. Stopped by Nicholl. The layoff was from Mullen. Hamilton's header. And the referee allowing Sansom to go on, although the crowd were calling for a foul. And then it's John McClelland who overhits the ball forward. And with so many highly paid stars on the field, one's thoughts turn to Jerry Mullen, a part-timer here, but unemployed outside his football. In some ways reflecting a major social problem in Belfast. Hamilton. Armstrong. The shot was taken instantly.
Well, the Irish have certainly shown an appetite for the game already. They've pushed men forward. McIlroy and O'Neill have tried to get as much ascendancy as they can in the middle of the field, and really England at the moment haven't really established themselves at all in the game.
Northern Ireland have an unbeaten home record going back 10 matches since, in fact, the last time England were here. And the tension of the evening reaching the England captain. Peter Shilton putting the goal kick straight out of play. Here's John McClelland. Roberts chose to let it run, and it was the wrong decision. Stewart. Armstrong for Hamilton and Mullen. And England, at the moment, going through a difficult time and needing to be calmed down by Peter Shilton.
Yeah, Graham Roberts looked all at sea there with his positional sense, and I can't help wondering whether he's had a long extended run in the middle of the field for his club. And I want, you know, it's different when players have to go and play at the back.
Cowans. The 50-50 balls at the moment going Northern Ireland's way, although there was a mistake then involving the two Nichols that led to Peter Withe being brought down. Francis finding himself on the England left. And it's just too long for Withe, and interestingly, Roberts had got forward. The England coach, John Howe, who played here back in 1958, as indeed did Bobby Robson 2 years later. So they should be no strangers to the type of atmosphere. But encouraged by a large partisan crowd, Northern Ireland have started well. It's a crowd that are very pleased to see England here again. They didn't come 2 years ago, remember. But having got them here, they badly want to see them beaten. Hoddle. Nicely played. Good technique in possession in a tight situation. And this is Francis. Corner conceded by Chris Nicholl. Under Bobby Robson, England have worked hard at their corners around the area of the near post, where Donaghy was now looking to defend. Roberts is forward for England, Hamilton back. And Butcher coming off the near post now. Jennings with a fist that wasn't particularly convincing. Butcher stretched, back from Cowans. Blissett's header, dealt with by Martin O'Neill, and Blissett caught offside. Armstrong against Cowans.
At the moment, Martin, there's so many men in midfield on both sides, there's very little room to play. The only space appears to be on the flanks, and the most noticeable attacks England have made has been when Trevor Francis has pulled wide on each side and produced a ball. Butcher. Then Jimmy Nicholl.
O'Neill, the 1-2 with Hamilton, which didn't quite come off for Northern Ireland. Nicely laid off by Francis. In a race with Donachie, which he should win. And it's Francis on the far post for England, watched all the way by John McClelland. On the Northern Ireland bench, Billy Bingham, how well he's organised his country's side. But it's England's corner, taken by Hoddle, and Roberts applying the pressure at the near post, beating the goalkeeper to it. And in fact, getting too much contact on the ball.
Roberts is a comparatively short man for a central defender, what, 5'9", 5'10", but he does make his presence felt on set plays, either whether he's occupying back post areas or coming in at the near post, as we saw there.
Throw is given England's way. McElroy's header. Mullen. For once, Northern Ireland were a little static ahead of Jerry Mullen. And Donachie getting too close to Blissett, a nudge in the back. Hoddle. It's Cowans who's got forward, Nicholl who marked him. Crisply played by Mullen. Armstrong has Jimmy Nicholl tearing ahead of him, and then sold him short with the pass. Jerry Armstrong, who really has been through the ups and downs of a footballer's life, the best British player in the last World Cup, and then a broken leg and problems with his club form subsequently. Blissett. It's Jimmy Nicholl. Roberts taking it on the chest. The feeling from Bobby Robson about Graham Roberts is that one quality he does bring to England's backline is some pace. Blissett with pace at the other end of the field.
Martin, the Irish have started off, as we know, they were with tremendous endeavour, competing and contesting everything. I've got the feeling England have got caught up in it a little bit, and they're just, whenever we win the ball, we're tending to throw big, long, high balls forward to beat it with, whereas I would have felt our best chance of sort of establishing ourselves in the game would have been to sort of play the ball around one, try and retain possession a little bit more.
Certainly run under Bobby Robson. It's been a more direct England approach.
Yeah, I would accept that. I accept a direct approach, but I think at the moment we're getting caught up in their game. They're good at their game. They've played it for a while. We're better when we're playing with a bit more quality.
Donachie. Hamilton, who will run all day. Away, though, by Butcher. And with adeptly using the chest. Francis certainly looking sharp. He turned an ankle in training yesterday morning. There was just a slight doubt that he might have a problem for this game. Hoddle. Ahead of Sansom, Blissett was checking out to the left, where England were lacking for a moment. Hoddle is there. Francis. Neil lending support, and it was well timed too, not so the cross. And Neil on his way back, intercepting Jennings' throw out. The referee has pointed the other way. Well, Donachie has played often in the centre of defence with his club Luton this season, but he's at left back, whereas John McClelland has been playing left-back for his club, Rangers, and he's in the centre for Northern Ireland at the back tonight. And it's McClellan trying to close down with, who was there first. Cowans in that congested midfield, as Ron Atkinson was saying. Congested and competitive too. Overmatched then, and Northern Ireland have the free kick. Armstrong the target, but he pushed in a little bit. With. It's not just supporters here from the province, a party from Kent as well. Mullen, that was well retrieved by Roberts. It was important for England that he did so. Stewart. And Neil showing skill of his own. Francis, I think, was looking for the free kick even before the challenge came.
You see, there's a first-class example there when Trevor Francis received it. He got nowhere to really go with the ball. He got no one to hit, no wide player to play into, and consequently he's forced to hang on, and that encourages the Irish boys to come in and have a rattle at him, which they've just done.
With. Unable to quite climb clear above Chris Nicholl. We've had just over a quarter of an hour, and here at Windsor Park, it's Northern Ireland 0, England 0. Butcher was rather unsighted by Hamilton's jump in front of him. Hoddle wanted handball by McElroy, it wasn't given. Here's Stewart. Neil was showing him the outside, but the cross still came in. It was finally diverted to safety by Gary Mabbott. The screening was from Mullen and the back heel. And Blissett feeding off Francis and stretching the legs and stretching Northern Ireland as he does so. Jimmy Nicholl was the covering defender. Martin O'Neill. McElroy, and Stewart was coming back from an offside position. Blissett's back header, and Jennings will claim. Weather-wise, we've had none of the heavy rain that's fallen in many parts of England today. Butcher trying to get in front of Mullen, and surely a free kick England's way, as Martin O'Neill took down Mabbott. Taken quickly, but too quickly, as Francis was in an offside position that he disputed.
One of the things the Irish defence doesn't seem to be able to fathom at the moment is when Blissett takes this deeper position than Francis on with, they don't seem to know whether to push somebody up onto him and mark him or pull a midfield player back. And at the moment, although he's not really made it pay, he's getting plenty of free space.
It is an interesting difference in approach between the two sides. Northern Ireland have stationed a wide player on each flank. England showing more flexibility, and Billy Bingham wanting to make a point from the touchline. Hoddle. Sansom supporting, as Francis found him. This is Cowans. Gordon Cowans saying yesterday he's a little unsettled by all this transfer talk involving a move to Italy and the club in Naples. And Mullen is offside. And Northern Ireland had two waiting in the middle, but the flag did go up straight away. But Gordon Cowans having to put his club worries out of his head at the moment. O'Donoghue. Trevor Francis, after an injury thwarted first half of his season in Italy, came back with 7 goals in 14 matches, which is a good return in their football. Neil coming in from behind on Hamilton.
One of England's obvious changes tonight is Hoddle playing in place of Sammy Lee from the team that beat Hungary. And that in a way is working against England, because Sammy Lee, as the right-hand midfield player, always has a tendency to pull into a wide position when his side's in possession. Glenn Hoddle likes to go infield and start looking for the ball, and he is leaving us with a big dearth out on this side.
England have certainly benefited this season from the understanding at club level between Neil and Lee. It was won by Armstrong, who for the first time has come infield. But as Ian St John was saying in the studio before the game, it's almost unfair the amount of pressure there seems to be on Glenn Hoddle every time he puts an England shirt on. A pass there that finds Cowans. Only Mullen forward for Northern Ireland this time. Butcher wants Shilton to collect, which he does. Halfway through the first half. Mabbott. Blissett getting in front of McClelland. Jimmy Nicholl biting in. Ken Sansom does possess a long throw, but settles to use Cowans. And then his control lets him down. Cowans again, stretching and finding Blissett. Here's Hoddle. Well, he instantly realised that a shot was on, and it's within his capabilities. His scoring record for England is impressive. 5 goals in 14 internationals before tonight. And he scored in his last England appearance when he came on as a substitute in December against Luxembourg. He also scored against Northern Ireland in the last meeting between these two sides. It drops for Mabbott. Hoddle. Harris by Stewart. It reached Neil. And With will jump here for England. It might drop for Cowans. And Armstrong took it from him. And Butcher with a rather tentative back pass that needed to be helped on by Roberts. It was understruck. The grass is perhaps longer here than the players have been used to towards the end of the league season. McElroy. Northern Ireland have just lost a little of the early rhythm and pace that they showed. Blissett had turned away, having played the pass, not realising that it favoured Jimmy Nicholl rather than Mabbutt.
I can't help thinking that Northern Ireland are going to have to strengthen in midfield. At the moment, they've got Martin O'Neill and Sammy McElroy trying more or less to contain 4 players, and it looks very much as if they're going to need a little bit more help off the boy Stewart, and certainly off Jerry Armstrong, who are not actually naturally defensive type players.
With so pleased to be fit to return to England duty after being injured against Hungary. But here is Ian Stewart for Northern Ireland. Hamilton has come close to him. Stewart wants to take on Roberts, who just made enough contact to slip the ball away for the corner. Hope for those wearing green and white in the crowd. And it was Blissett with the clearing header, only as far as Donaghy. McElroy. Donaghy again. And they've left McElroy. I think the England defenders were expecting Mal Donaghy to play the ball either towards the far post or try a shot himself, and they were ball watching and left Sammy McElroy, who tried to curl it over Shilton, but curled it over the bar.
Yeah, that was very, very slack, wasn't it? And that's Sammy McElroy's forte. He's particularly good at those bending shots from the left-hand side with his right foot.
The interception was from O'Neill. But Sammy McElroy, in fact, has a poor scoring record for his country. Just 4 goals in 67 appearances. Sanson. The little chip was from McClelland. Jimmy Nicholl playing it forward. And now Chris Nicholl. And a clever ball from Hamilton, sending Jerry Armstrong on his way. And Roberts! Well, Shilton had to be at his most acrobatic to stop Graham Roberts putting through his own goal here. It dipped and it came awkwardly to Roberts, and how about that for reflexes by Peter Shilton?
It's got to be a complete misunderstanding in the back four, because the Irish team didn't even have a player in the box then. Graham Roberts could quite comfortably have let that one past them.
This is Stewart. The pressure still on England. Funnily enough, the last time that Graham Roberts played against Billy Hamilton there, you can see Billy Hamilton in the shot, was in a Milk Cup semi-final at White Hart Lane, when Roberts put through his own goal twice. And how, but for Shilton, that would have marred an international debut for Roberts. With Blissett collecting a rather weak header from Jimmy Nicholl. There was nothing weak, though, about the tackle. Sanson. And as expected, if England are going to get a win here, they've got to match Northern Ireland, not just for skill, but for sheer endeavour and application.
I think at the moment, they're certainly doing that, Martin. I can't help thinking it's obviously got to be a deliberate ploy. I've never seen Kenny Sanson, for instance, hit so many long, high balls. Whether they think Peter Withe can establish a mastery over sort of McClelland and Nicholl. I would have thought that might be just playing into their strengths a little bit.
It went long again from Butcher. Here's Neil with checks out to the far post. Francis covered a lot of ground to make himself available for the pass. And cross that he swung into quickly. Hoddle tries the shot.
You see there, Martin, we see when Philip Neal linked up with Trevor Francis. That's the way Phil Neal plays for Liverpool, doesn't he? He doesn't throw the ball away, he gets it and plays probing little balls. He's just done it with Francis, and we've probably our best move of the game.
It was certainly an occasion on when England didn't waste possession by just slinging it forward. Hamilton used a hand, and that's what the free kick was given for, although the crowd responding to Hamilton's fall, thinking it might have gone Northern Ireland's way. Sansom and Mabbutt. It's a question really of whether Mabbutt or Blissett tried the shot, but applause quite rightly for Sansom's pass. And Northern Ireland will rather caught square at the back. O'Neill lost it to Cowans. It was perhaps Ron England's best opening so far that Gary Mabbutt just dragged across the face of the goal.
That's right, that was a superb ball of Sansom. Picked the ball up, ran with it, and slid two players in. I mean, I suppose the Irish back four will be asking a few questions, but full marks there to Blissett and Mabbutt. Both got themselves in a good position. Probably should have finished better.
Mabbutt back defending. Neil. This is Francis. Phil Neal was looking really at what was available to him, which wasn't a great deal, which was the reason perhaps he was caught in possession. Billy Bingham took over again as manager of Northern Ireland in February 1980. They'd played 30 matches since then and only lost 8. Armstrong. Solidly away by Butcher. And with indulging in a spot of holding with Chris Nicholl. Donohoe. Fred Street alongside him, the physiotherapist.
It's ironic that Mabbutt should have missed that chance, because at the moment I'm making him possibly our best player. He's been in the thick of the action all the way through. He's where the action is, certainly in the middle of the field, where everybody's taking part.
Bobby Robson has had to chop and change his side so often this season, but Gary Mabbutt has now played 7 consecutive internationals. This is the 7th, in fact. Space for Northern Ireland on their left with Mal Donaghy. Ahead of Chris Nicholl, Armstrong was checking out to the right. Hamilton with the socks down already. Was wanting it to his feet rather through the middle. It was hit too long for him. Mabbutt, again making sure that England kept possession. Sansom. And Jimmy Nicholl getting the reward for determination initially. Cowans was a little fortunate to find the ball coming back at him. Blissett obstructed by Martin O'Neill.
I get the feeling that the Irish have lost a lot of their early fire, Martin. captain. Wouldn't be surprised to see England knock one in a minute or two. They're just starting to take hold of the game.
Once or twice England have had problems with the offside trap. Maybe an important time now for the Northern Ireland captain to keep his troops going. We have 10 minutes of the first half remaining. If you've just switched on, it's 0-0. And Stewart slips Neil with some ease. Hamilton, and Mullen left it hoping McIlroy was coming in behind him. Maybe England can exploit the numbers that Northern Ireland had forward then. Kept in by Cowans. Here's Sansom. Hoddle's little chip, and Blissett met it with some purpose. He has his critics, Luther Blissett, but he certainly gets into scoring positions. If he does miss chances, it's because he's there to be in the right place, and the header was a brave effort.
Certainly the occasions he's played against us this season, Martin, he's looked very much a handful. He's continually prepared to work and put the defenders under pressure, and as you say, go in the box looking for things.
It's a philosophy I've mentioned before from Malcolm MacDonald, a great goal scorer in his day, when he always says never be afraid to miss. Northern Ireland's free kick. Hoddle having to get back to look at McIlroy. Peter Withe has been the focal point for what England have tried to do further forward. Armstrong pivoting into the cross. Only half away by Roberts. This is Stewart. Francis. Two breaking forward for England were Blissett and Withe. But they rather ignored Francis the option of playing Phil Neal down the right-hand side, forsaking the short ball for the long one. Neil. And Blissett felt that. Donaghy certainly got the ball, but pushed the ball hard against Blissett's foot, and that sort of tackle might open up the knee. You could see the pain.
I bet Chris Nicholl can't believe his luck tonight. He's been out of international soccer for 12 months, close on. Comes back, and then the team he's playing against just...
We're just looking there, Ron, again at the injury for Blissett, but carry on about Chris Nicholl.
Yeah, I was saying that, and the team he's playing against have got quick people like Blissett and Francis up against him. I bet he thought he was in for a little bit of a roasting in terms of pace, and yet every time the ball's been thrown at him, it's been thrown up through the air, which is one of his great strengths.
Well, the England substitute warming up is Luther Blissett's Watford teammate, John Barnes, waiting perhaps for the chance of a first cap. I'm sure in many ways he'd hate to get it in these circumstances. Supporters from Southampton have, of course, Chris Nicholl to cheer on one side and Peter Shilton on the other. And as the scarves are waved, is possibly the end of the evening for Luther Blissett. It really was a tackle, a fair one, it must be said. but a sharp, powerful one by Donachie. And it was either the knee or the ankle that took the brunt of it.
I wonder if he'll play Barnsley wide or whether he'll play him up the middle as he's been doing recently for his club side. Whether he'll place a central striker with one or whether he'll stick an actual wide player out.
England for the moment down to 10 men. And Terry Butcher playing it safe. But England want to bring Luther Blissett back on. And maybe Fred Street has said to him, give it a go till half-time. There's 5 minutes left, and we'll have another look then. Donaghy with the long throw. Butcher fairly above Hamilton. Met by McClelland, and then by Hoddle for England. Blissett happy with his left foot, but still not moving freely.
Yeah, for the moment, Trevor Francis has taken over the deeper role from the front three.
Butcher. Well, he took it past Mullen, then lost his balance. And there is no time to dwell on the ball in virtually every area of the pitch. Blissett just looking across, not to the bench, but to Trevor Francis. Hamilton. Northern Ireland's throw. O'Neill. McClelland having to turn. Mullen got in behind Armstrong. Both sides appeal. England have the throw. A back heel from With, helped on. Hoddle. If there is any time and space to be made, he has the talent to make it. Sanson. Well, With it skewed towards him off Jimmy Nicholl. And pushed to the ground was Mabbutt by O'Neill. It's not been an easy game to referee for its sheer pace, but Howard King has kept up with the play very well. Pat Jennings setting the numbers that he wants in the wall. It's a central position. And he's called for 5. England themselves have 4 players over the ball. Mabbutt reading from the right, Mabbutt, Cowans, Hoddle the number 4, and then Francis. Not quite sure that was the way it was planned, but it's involved Peter With, who was sent tumbling. So Hoddle and Cowans there can try again. Curled in by Hoddle, and it was Francis who scored with a header in the last international against Hungary. But on that occasion, he never really looked confident about his approach to the ball. to a minute or so before half-time. Ron, your impressions of the first half?
Well, it's been played at a little bit of a frenetic tempo, but
just to break off, it's Hamilton's cross. Armstrong.
But I don't think England, considering the players they've got at their disposal tonight, have played with enough control. I hoped at half-time they're told to sort of take more time, pass the ball about a bit more, and try and make themselves a better type of opening. They've thrown it forward, as we said earlier, but in many ways that hasn't really achieved an awful lot. It's played a little bit into the strength of the Irish defence.
Stewart. A collision with Francis. What will the referee make of that? It's produced boos from the terraces. And a free kick for Northern Ireland. Get a closer view of that episode, which ended with both players on the ground. Into stoppage time. Donaghy to take the free kick. Shilton used the fists under pressure from Mullen. O'Neill. Northern Ireland haven't got Ian Stewart into the match as often as they did in the first half at Hampden on Tuesday, where he was their most incisive forward. And it's Francis this time doing the harassing, forcing McElroy into the back pass. Nicholl. Chris Nicholl, that was. O'Neill. Mullen. And Nicholl had time, but wasn't advised of that fact. And Northern Ireland have a corner.
The Irish have actually got themselves into good wide positions on about 3 or 4 occasions, and have in actual fact have delivered some telling crosses in there. They just haven't been able to get anyone on the end of them.
Chris Nicholl is forward. Billy Bingham, in fact, raced out of the dugout to the touchline to tell his players to hurry up to take the corner, knowing that the full 45 minutes have been played and we're in stoppage time. It's Stewart planting it straight onto the head of Terry Butcher. And Stewart is onside. On his stronger left foot. Shilton got down well again. Ian Stewart, who scored a couple of match-winning goals for Northern Ireland already this season. And he let fly with a shot that dipped and bounced in front of the goalkeeper. McElroy with the corner. Armstrong couldn't make anything of it. Roberts slipped. Mullen. Now O'Neill. Still Martin O'Neill and Hamilton. It looked to me as though Butcher slid the ball against Hamilton, but the corner is given. And the Windsor Park crowd alive now.
At the moment, I should think Bobby Robson will be very anxious to get his team into the dressing room for half-time at Old Square.
Played deeper this time by Ian Stewart. Chris Nicholl up well. And the half-time whistle finally goes. An energetic first half indeed. Northern Ireland with an exhilarating start and finish to the half. And Peter Shilton with critical saves from Graham Roberts, which so nearly was an own goal, and then right on half-time as Ian Stewart let fly from the edge of the area. Half-time score, though, at Windsor Park. It's Northern Ireland 0, England 0. We'll be back after the break.
Bobby, any chance of any Bovril? We're freezing up here. Now, see if is there any Bovril flying about, or soup or anything? You bastard. Stadium. Christ almighty.
Thank you, Brian. Northern Ireland all out, and no sign of any substitution there. And as England make their way out as well, we can see that Luther Blissett is still in the game. But we have learnt at half-time that he has strained his right knee. One little interesting point is none of this Northern Ireland side out here in this match have ever scored a goal against England, which is why perhaps they were disappointed that Norman Whiteside wasn't available. Ron, perhaps you can tell us the story about that.
Well, after the cup final, Norman was absolutely physically drained, and to be fair, I don't think he could have raised a gallop tonight.
Well, certainly there's been plenty of galloping from the Northern Ireland players, and they have had the better of the first half. Peter Shilton certainly the busier of the two goalkeepers. And two saves of real international class. And Bobby Robson down on the touchline for the second half. Mabbutt. Chris Nicholl with the header. Gary Mabbutt driving on and was in the middle of the sandwich between Armstrong and O'Neill. And again, England have sent forward both central defenders. Plenty of movement as Hoddle waits. And with, knocked it back. It dropped, fortunately for Northern Ireland, straight to Jimmy Nicholl. Sansom was covering in a central position. Here's Stewart, who stole a yard on Roberts. Hamilton was waiting perhaps a little too central a position, and the cross dropped beyond him to the far post, but Sansom conceded the corner.
We're talking about Norman Whiteside not being available, but I think credit's got to be given to Hamilton. I certainly thought first half, whenever the ball was around him, he certainly gave the England defenders a few things to think about.
I think it's Jerry Mullen here who wouldn't have played, Ron, if Norman had been available. McElroy's corner. Shilton committed off his line. And this time, after punching on a couple of occasions in the first half, felt secure in the situation to make the catch. Stewart. Ian Stewart, who found his opportunities limited at Queen's Park Rangers and went out on loan to Millwall at the end of the season, and he helped keep them in the 3rd division, but is back with Queen's Park Rangers now. Martin O'Neill and Sammy McElroy, as Ron was saying in the first half, with a lot of responsibility on their shoulders as the two out-and-out midfield men for Northern Ireland. Cowans. Sansom's cross. Away by Donaghy. Armstrong. Neil recovered. England really shouldn't be surprised that they're having problems going forward in this 10-game unbeaten run that Northern Ireland have at Windsor Park. They've only conceded 2 goals. Neil.
Before the game, there was a lot of pressure put on Glenn Hoddle, as you were saying, Martin. But I would think the way we're playing tonight, he's going to find it very, very difficult to play, because he's continually getting bypassed with the ball, where his great strength is to get him on the ball plenty and let him make things happen.
You saw Bobby Robson watching anxiously from the touchline. And he can't be too happy with the way England are shaping. O'Neill dispossessing Cowans. Jimmy Nicholl. It's Northern Ireland's free kick. And Jimmy Nicholl was waving Chris Nicholl forward, and then perhaps that was by way of a decoy, because the free kick went short and McElroy got into the area where England had to be safe when they made the challenge. Sansom. Deflected off Armstrong for Cowans. Armstrong again. Hoddle. Easily picked off by Chris Nicholl. McElroy. Stewart's already made a dart ahead of him, and McElroy found him superbly. Hamilton and Mullen in the middle, and Ian Stewart got perhaps an unfortunate bobble on the ball and wasted a very promising position which was created for him by the ingenuity of Sammy McElroy.
Yeah, there you see what the one weakness possibly in Phil Neal's game. When he's in one-for-one situations, he can be exposed for pace somewhat. He gets a little bit covered in the Liverpool side, and certainly when Sammy Lee's playing for England, he'll help him out.
With guided it down cleverly. Hoddle, as Francis checked away to make space, and his control just let him down. And all he gets is a throw. The instant Hoddle was in possession, Francis took off. And Hoddle with the range in his passing, of course, to pick him out from some 30 to 40 yards. Sansom with a long throw this time. Butcher got his head to it. But it ends tamely for England with a goal kick.
He'll be disappointed with that situation, will Trevor Francis. He made himself a great position, really. Pulled off the shoulder of one of the Irish defenders, and really one of his great strengths is his control, and it let him down badly there.
Armstrong. His flick fell nicely for Sansom. And Francis was surer in his work then, involving Cowans as well. And he shrugged aside unfairly by John McClelland. McClelland and then Jennings beckoning defenders into position. It's Hoddle who curls it in. What a good jump by Chris Nicholl, defending under pressure. Blissett. Now Mabbutt, who can try them from that sort of range. And there was plenty of power. It was that nonchalant style that we've grown used to from Pat Jennings to make the save. It wasn't as easy as he made it look. Donaghy. Not the power that Mabbutt showed a moment or two ago. .11 goals for Gary Mabbutt in his first season with Spurs. A very fair return. Still looking for his first for his country at this level, although he did get a couple, I remember, playing left back for the under-21s early in the season. Here he is in midfield. Francis with the turn that he often uses to good effect. Hoddle. That's really what England want to see from him, but not the pass. Here's Stewart, taking England on for pace again. Hamilton towing it back for McElroy, and the referee unimpressed by the dive. Armstrong. Jimmy Nicholl's little clip forward. Roberts with a push into the back of Hamilton. The whistle had gone before activity nearer England's goal involving Mullen. The crowd hadn't heard the whistle. So what can Northern Ireland show us about their repertoire at free kicks? Jimmy Nicholl is there. So too is O'Neill, who was looking to curve it with the outside of the right foot.
Martin, I think if I was Billy Bingham, I'd been encouraging Donaghy to have made some breaks up the left-hand side there, because I think it's Philip Neal is so unprotected at the moment. I think they could get a lot of sort of situations with Stewart and Donaghy going at Philip Neal.
McElroy. Play in that area that Ron was talking about. It was Hoddle who came away with it. And a chance for Francis to show his pace. McClelland just about matched him.
Oh, he's quick. Out in Spain, the boy McClelland did exceptionally well, I felt. I felt he's one of the best Irish players, and not many of the continental players could outrun him.
He also did a very fine marking job on Charlie Nicholas on Tuesday night at Hampden. For that very reason, he was allocated the task for his pace. So it's Mabbutt this time with the long throw. Butcher, and Blissett was nearly there for England. Armstrong. Mullen inside him. And certainly looking for Ian Stewart whenever possible.
I think he was a bit over-ambitious then, Jerry Armstrong. I think he tried to force the issue a little bit where he'd got players closer to him that he could have retained possession with.
Jimmy Nicholl. Now Mullen gives it away to Hoddle. Might be costly as he tries to redeem the error, and does. And a sliding challenge the referee had a good look at, and then Wade play on. You don't have to encourage Jerry Armstrong to run with the ball. But his role just a little bit restricted from that we saw in the World Cup, because he has to patrol this right-hand touchline. Off Sanson for the corner. Again, England's defenders facing the problem of the in-swinger from Ian Stewart. Neil has come across to guard the near post. Chris Nicholl was pushing. Still hoping to play another season in the First Division with Southampton, Chris Nicholl. He'll be 37 in the autumn. But he won't thank me for mentioning that fact. And Peter With disappointed with the layoff from the chest. Roberts drilled it straight at McElroy. Found the ball back at his feet. So Neil, who intercepted. And Roberts in turn. Neil, prepared to try and commit a defender or two. Francis. Neil again. Cleverly played for Francis. There was a little bit more quality about that one.
Yes, I think Philip Neal was playing like he does for his club side there, and certainly Trevor Francis made himself a great little position. I really thought he was going to score there. It was an awkward ball for him to deal with, perhaps not quite enough pace on it from Phil Neal. That was more of the stuff we're looking for, that is, for my money anyway.
Armstrong. Mullen couldn't collect, Hamilton can. O'Neill. McElroy was being closed down quickly by Hoddle. Jimmy Nicholl goes past Cowans. England getting their men back behind the ball. Stewart, though, can drive it in. And Hamilton. O'Neill. And Donachie was driving in. Shilton will want to claim it now. But for a second, England were stretched at the far post by a really deep cross from Ian Stewart. And Hamilton climbed well to knock it back across the goal to cause the confusion. And Shilton calls for effort again from those around him. Cowans. Hoddle.
I always find that an intriguing situation, making the goalkeeper captain. I just wonder of what value he can be to the side when the sort of boat needs steadying a little bit.
Neil. It was Armstrong who got it out. Hamilton. Paul Mullen. Butcher timed his approach well. Bobby Robson made Peter Shilton captain, I think, because of the stature of the man. And I suppose, Ron, because there were no Manchester United players available.
Yeah, but he's got experienced players like Phil Neal, and that who I'm sure would have fitted the bill perfectly.
Armstrong was fouled by Cowans. Just to finish the discussion on the captaincy, Ron, I think Peter Shilton, Bobby Robson felt was someone who was going to stay in the side for some while. Maybe Phil Neal's position under more threat, but the threat is to Peter Shilton's goal at the moment. Everyone but Pat Jennings in the England half. And Stewart, well, you could see what was in his mind, but the execution wasn't well directed at all.
The Irish team seems to have stepped up the pace of their game a little bit this half, and in fact I was hoping that the England team would play with more control, and to me it looks as if the Irish team are prepared to play with more control.
Certainly, as far as effort's concerned, Martin O'Neill must be pleased with the way his team are performing. And I suppose you can always say, Ron, that England are playing as well as they're allowed to play it.
Yes, but I honestly don't think they're making it any easier for themselves. I think in terms of effort, yeah, they're doing that. In terms of trying to adhere to what would appear to be the plan, but I don't know. I think there's an awful lot of good players being wasted.
The linesman has flagged for the corner. The long ball paid some dividend for England then. A long ball from the goalkeeper. So the key area could be the near post again. Blissett takes his position away from that. For any flick on, it might reach him beyond the other post. Hamilton showing he can use his aerial power in a defensive station as well. Francis killed it instantly. O'Neill stopped him. Hoddle. Out from Donaghy. Certainly the tempo hasn't slackened. And again, an England forward finding himself in a tight corner was Francis then. And the sheer presence of Donaghy was enough to distract. Mabbutt. Hoddle. And with was offside. Jennings flipped it over the top. He wasn't to know that the whistle would go, but the linesman had the flag raised, and With's header wouldn't have counted.
The lad Blissett seems to have faded from the scene completely this half. He did a lot of hard running first half, and I'm just wondering how much his knee injury is playing him up a little bit, and whether in fact they're contemplating bringing a fresh face on from the bench.
It's Blissett here. Shrugs O'Neill away. He tried to thread the ball through Donaghy. Blissett certainly seems happy when the ball comes his way, but certainly hasn't gone looking for it with the same enthusiasm as he showed before that knock. Here's With, and now Blissett. Chris Nicholl giving it away, having won it well for Northern Ireland. Bobby Robson has the option of using John Barnes. He's also got Paul Walsh of Luton Town, of course, as a substitute as well. And it may well be that Blissett will be called off. The number 10 board in evidence there. But Blissett guides it on. And as With was trying to turn, McClelland stabbed it away from him. And Blissett nearly played a part then in setting up an England chance. John Barnes is up from the bench and taking the tracksuit top off. Mabbutt. It's a difficult volley to try and twist into. Blissett. Put to safety by McClelland. And Bobby Robson passing on the instructions for John Barnes at 19. Will be his first full international. Francis. And Hoddle covered a lot of ground and nearly came in on the blind side of the defence, who were happy to let the ball run. So as expected, at the three-quarter mark in this game, Luther Blissett finally concedes second best to that knee injury sustained in the tackle with Mal Donaghy, and one Watford player gives way to another.
I really hope he's got instructions to come on and play out wide here. I rather think it looks as if he may be doing that, or whether they'll still retain the same pattern, which really hasn't looked as if it's going to be too fruitful.
McElroy. Mullen. Had a good season at club level with Glentoran, who've won 3 trophies here. Certainly John Barnes is drifting towards the left. He and Blissett together have played as central strikers for Watford over the second half of the season. John Barnes has done very well in that role.
He's the type of player, Martin. He's a good turner. That's where he's been successful when he's played in central positions. He turns very well with it. But I've seen him when he's played out in wide positions, and he does knock nice balls in. And I think somebody like Peter With or even Trevor Francis, when he's moving across the line of defenders, would thrive on that.
With. Good work by O'Neill. It was painful for him. But a mistake by Chris Nicholl. Francis here against McClelland. And again, McClelland doing his job, forcing Francis wide, but not stopping the pass for Mabbutt. The crowd were calling for handball as he controlled, and in any case, the left foot shot passed wide. But it's interesting, Ron, what you say about John Barnes. We've been keeping a check on the goal makers in the First Division this season, and in that respect, John Barnes has created 16 goals for Watford, which is the second best in the First Division. Second best to Kenny Dalglish. Barnes has also scored 11 times for his club, and here he is, taking on Jimmy Nicholl. And a cross aimed towards the near post, where Glenn Hoddle was furthest forward for England.
The other thing, of course, is Jimmy Nicholl's not entirely comfortable against players that go up against him. Whereas for the best part of this game, he's been able to just sit in space, and he's played very well, knocking quality balls all over the pitch.
Counts. Armstrong again should be credited for getting back and getting in the way. Cowans will be disappointed for giving it away. England have it though with With and Mabbutt. Mabbutt again, and Jennings again in control, aware that Mabbutt's shot come cross was passing across the face of the goal to safety. Some 18 minutes left. Still 0-0. It's been absorbing throughout, but there have been very few clear-cut chances. And it's been absorbing really through the endeavour and the energy rather than the quality of the football. Roberts. England, of course, the holders of the British Championship. Northern Ireland won it outright back in 1980. Francis wanted help from those around him, didn't get it. I think the other England players who were forward felt that Francis had it in his mind to shoot. Mabbutt. Cowans inside him. O'Neill was furious that the free kick was given against him. Francis. Wide is Neil. Trying to curve the cross in. Couldn't bypass Mal Donaghy.
Whether it's just coincidence, Barnes coming on, but England seem to have got the ascendancy back a bit now. Whether he's given them more options, more passing options. Certainly we've looked a lot more controlled in the last 5 minutes or so.
Away from Hamilton again. Cowans to clip it back in. Stewart, a really audacious flip. But reached Mullen, who's prepared to go it alone. And Neil was holding him. But Ian Stewart, once or twice in this game, has given us something that will really stick in the memory.
Yeah, that was delightful, wasn't it? Delightful little touch through there. A little bit of the old pro there with Phil Neal. Knew he was going to get exposed for pace, and somehow or other, without looking nasty, has managed to break the move up.
Mullen was certainly prepared to strike on for goal when he was held. McElroy. Deflected.
Might not be a bad time now for the Irish team to slip somebody like Brotherston on Martin, maybe in place of the lad Mullen.
Almost on cue, Rod. He's got up from the bench as we look again as the ball got through the England wall off Gordon Cowans, and Shilton understandably angry. Mullen at the near post. His was the final contact. Noel Brotherston has the tracksuit bottoms off and continues to warm up. O'Neill's got forward. And Roberts rather miscuing the header out. It's gone for a throw. Mullen, only half away from Phil Neal, and Jimmy Nicholl got it on target, although it came from awkwardly. Francis almost caught in possession. But now Hoddle. Counter-attack here from England. Barnes will keep it in. And Nicholl making sure it doesn't reach with. Donaghy. No doubting the spirit of the match. O'Neill. Really has been unrelenting, the speed of the play. Barnes has switched sides. He does favour his left foot and was cutting in onto it then. England, in fact, have only lost one of their last 19 internationals, which was at home to West Germany in October. But they're certainly being given a tough ride here. Hoddle just waiting for the right moment. Cleland was in the right position. Stewart. Hoddle has to defend. O'Neill. McIlroy. Now Stewart. Half thinking about the cross, but when he finally played it in, it struck Hoddle. Mullen. Bent in by McIlroy. Armstrong. And it was important for England that Roberts won that. Mullen was arriving behind him. Chris Nicol. It reached Hamilton, who was over-ambitious.
Must be a real problem, this substitution now for Billy Bingham, because looking at it from here, it doesn't seem as if they'll get beaten. The Irish team looks as if they could get a draw quite comfortably, and yet possibly he's thinking if he brings Brotherston on, he can throw Armstrong up front and maybe gamble on winning a thing.
For all the success in the World Cup run, I know Billy Bingham would love to manage a side to beat England. He played in a Northern Ireland team that won at Wembley back in 1957.
Yeah, well, of course, that would be a tremendous achievement for him. In fact, Brotherston is in fact coming on now.
It's Jerry Mullen, who has toiled long and hard up front.
I'm sure
and the applause is for Mullen as much as for Brotherston coming on.
Yeah, Armstrong is. He's going to go. Looks very much as if he's going to go up the centre of the field with Hamilton. This will be an interesting last, what, quarter of an hour?
Just over 10 minutes, in fact, left on the watch. And Armstrong has pushed in to link up with Hamilton. Brotherston, the natural winger, on the right, although, oddly enough, for Blackburn Rovers, he usually plays on the left. Armstrong chases. And a mistake by Sansom. But certainly you feel here that Billy Bingham has gambled with the substitution to try and win the match. Stewart. Blocked by Roberts. McIlroy. Roberts again. With working back to keep possession for England. Armstrong. Neat turn. And Hoddle coming through strongly. Some doubt his stamina. It was a contribution then that nearly produced an incisive pass.
I should think Bobby Robson must be very disappointed with the midfield showing tonight. I mean, we've outnumbered them in midfield. We've got players who, quite honestly, have more class. Hoddle, Cowans and Mabbott. And yet, at this moment in time, they're completely dominating the middle of the park of the Irish team.
Here's Hamilton. Gets past Roberts. Crosses too close to the goalkeeper. And another anxious moment for Peter Shilton. as Hamilton was prepared to bear in from the left. McClelland. Brotherston twisting the ball infield with the head. Now Donegan. Certainly every prospect of an exciting finish. Northern Ireland driving forward again. McElroy, past Lambert, Sammy McElroy. O'Neill mishit it. Sansom scrambled it away. England would be hoping then that Barnes could hold it up and give them a bit of time. McClelland keeping the pressure on. Neil. Cowans just trying the flick to lose McClelland. But John McClelland over the past couple of years has shown how well he's adapted to the international scene.
Yeah, every time I see him, Martin, I'm always impressed with him. Always does a good, steady job, quiet job, and people with pace very seldom get the better of him.
John McClelland actually played in English football with Mansfield Town when Billy Bingham was manager. Pat Jennings there hoping for a rare clean sheet against England. And Billy Bingham, well, he's made the substitution that has declared his intention. And a reflective England manager with. Certainly Bobby Robson will feel he's learnt a lot about his players individually in this type of atmosphere. Butcher. Cowans. Butcher has to turn. Stewart's come across, but the long legs of Terry Butcher served him well then. Hoddle. This is Francis. Neil is there in support. And England have 4 players waiting for the cross. Francis provides it, and with coming underneath it rather. Roberts giving it away. Ron, if you were England manager in this situation, would you be settling for what you've got now?
You wouldn't be settling, but I think you might have to be satisfied with it, because we look to have lost an awful lot of fire. We really do. That surprised me a little bit. I would have thought we might have been pressing hard to win it, and now it doesn't seem that same desire to win. It seems as if we're quite happy to settle for a point.
Put into the crowd by Roberts. We're inside the last 5 minutes. And the big crowd here at Windsor Park, fully committed to Northern Ireland's cause and desperately anxious now to see their favourite snatch a winner. McElroy has made 1 or 2 probing runs in the latter phases of the game. McClelland. Hardly brought down as he lost O'Neill. One thing about Glenn Hoddle, he's never played in 3 consecutive internationals for England, and one does feel that until he gets that sort of chance, we won't see the best of him. The Butcher's cross, and With will fight for this one. In the air, Chris Nicholl has been the master. Cowans.
Yeah, you're talking about Hoddle there. I think he's the type of player you've either got to make your mind upon. You've either got to say he's for you, and you stick with him and you're tolerant of his mistakes and his little idiosyncrasies, or otherwise you say, no, not for me, I have a different type of player in. I don't think he's the type of player you can pull in and push out. I think you've got to be consistent with him.
And maybe build your team around him, Ron.
Well, certainly to be if he's the sort of player you fancy, be an integral part of it.
Barnes with the cross, and it drifts away. Well, Bobby Robson having brought on John Barnes, that's 30 different players now he's used, and this is 8th international. He's still shuffling his pack, so to speak, and I'm sure he's not yet certain of what the actual best final 11 are. Neil. Here's Hoddle. Cowans this time has made a forward run and took it cleverly on the chest. Francis. Possibilities here for England. Rotherston got his head to it. Abbott with the jump. Chris Nicholl, who has had a splendid match. A decisive figure again.
The Irish defence really have taken up some good defensive positions against crosses, Martin. Every time a ball's put in there, you never really sense that there's going to be an awful lot of danger. You always get the feeling that a green shirt's going to deal with the problem.
Jimmy Nicholl with the throw. We're moving towards the last minute. And if it is to be a draw, certainly Peter Shilton has earned it for his country. Butcher, Roberts happy to play it back. Hoddle finds Francis. Hamilton trying to bring Brotherston into the match. Northern Ireland haven't really been able to do since he came on. Barnes. Now Butcher. With Paul Barnes. Well, he could have won it then, perhaps Hoddle could. Back in again from Sansom. It wouldn't come for Francis. Hoddle. Volleyed away by McClelland. So few clear-cut openings for England, but one came the way of John Barnes then, from a superbly directed header by Peter With. But there's the final whistle. Northern Ireland protect their unbeaten home record under Billy Bingham. A difficult match for Glenn Hoddle to make his England comeback, and a difficult one for Graham Roberts to start his England career. Ron Atkinson.
Yeah, they knew before they came here it was going to be hard, and I think That's been proved even more than they expected. Ireland well worth a draw, perhaps may even initiate a bit more. We didn't really play though. We worked hard, but we didn't really play the quality of football I would expect from an England side. Certainly, you talked about Hoddle.
Well, I think down on the touchline, Jim Rosenthal has with him the Northern Ireland captain, Martin O'Neill.
Martin O'Neill, what's the Northern Ireland view on that goalless draw?
Well, I think it was a very hard game. It was never going to be anything else, Jim. And by the reception of the crowd, they seem to have enjoyed it anyway.
Peter Shilton, England skipper, let's move round to you and get an instant reaction from you.
Well, obviously, we're always disappointed when we don't win a game, but it was a very tough match tonight. I mean, Northern Ireland are no pushovers, have proven that against West Germany and other sides. And we had a very tough match tonight, and it could have gone either way, really.
It would seem that one of your own defenders almost gave you the hardest save of the night.
Yes, it was a difficult ball, really, because the ball was dipping quite a bit, and the ball came at sort of knee height, and I think Graham Roberts made the right decision to head it. And the last minute, he just dipped, and he'd committed himself, and that was it, really. But, you know, it doesn't matter who heads them, you've got to keep them out.
Martin O'Neill, the bogey still remains here. What is it now, 56 years, and you still haven't managed to beat the English here. Now, why is that?
Well, I'm not terribly sure. I mean, I wasn't born when the first game was being played, but over the last 6, 7, 8 years, it's always been difficult against England. England are a top-class nation, and despite the fact, we had home advantage, it still doesn't mean everything. We're playing top-class players here.
I'll tell you what I'd like you both to do. I'd like you to pick out your star men from the other team, which I think you might be able to do. Would you like to do that first of all?
No, I would find that very difficult at the moment, Jim. I would really have to start to think about it.
OK, Peter Shilton, what about you? Which Irish player stood out for you?
Well, again, I'm a bit like Martin. You know, it's difficult to pick out any player. I thought Martin played exceptionally well. I thought the Irish, as a team, played well. That's their big strength as a team. I mean, they always work hard and play for each other and give 100%. And, you know, they're very difficult to beat. But they're a good team. I mean, they've proven that over the years. They're a team, not, you know, they haven't got so many individual players.
Good. OK, thanks both of you for stopping here. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Jim.
Fellas, can we have a quick snap together, please? Just stand there.
Well, let's say 3 minutes to the second half.
Well, I was looking for a double at Scotland-England today,
yeah.
and I thought that would come up.
What was amazing, Tony, is just after 7 o'clock tonight, we were talking about England's creativity in the midfield and up front. And in fact, to be honest, we created almost nothing.
That's right. When you look at the team, there's so many good, skillful footballers in there. And if you look at the match again, we created so few chances, or probably 2 goal-scoring chances in 90 minutes, and that's the biggest disappointment for me.
Yes, I mean, you have players like Cowans and Hoddle and Mabbott.
Yeah, I think the whole team was playing with a lack of confidence, and there didn't seem to be many players demanding the ball from each other.
Would you go with that, Ian?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I agree with what Big Ronnie was saying on there. You know, there seemed to be a lack of a team plan. You know, they were knocking the long balls, and there seemed to be no sort of pattern to the game. I mean, you just can't keep hitting long balls and expecting people to chase them and then the midfield players to get involved in the game. Not those players, because they're footballers. And the back four never at any time played the ball to each other, did they? We never saw them getting a hold of it and say, OK, we'll keep the ball off the Irish for 5 minutes because they're giving us a bit of a chase. Never did that at all. It was just knock and chase.
But as Peter Shilton said, the Irish are tough, and I think you've got to give a lot of credit to the men in green tonight.
Yeah, they played very well. Like I say, in the first half, the first 10 minutes, and the end of the first half, the last 10 minutes, and the second half, they were probably the only team that looked like was going to score a goal on the night.
Looking ahead to Wednesday now, I mean, you would see changes now for England. Brian Robson back, presumably. Sammy Lee back against Scotland.
Well, obviously Mr. Robson will have to decide that, but I would say definitely Brian Robson will be back in the team. And you've got to look for a better performance than tonight's.
Indeed. In the few seconds we've got left, Saint, I'm sure you want to say something about Wednesday?
Well, on today, what we've seen of Scotland-England today, obviously Scotland impressed us today, England didn't. But England defenders didn't lose any goals, so I mean, you know, they came out of it with a little bit of credit because Ireland put them under a bit of pressure. But I think you've got to fancy Scotland.
You do surprise me. Ian St John, Tony Woodcock, thank you very much for being with us. Northern Ireland 0, England 0. From us all, it's good night.